Yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. So I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. Well, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen the sunny days that I thought would never end. Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Gary. Thanks for joining me today for this look at Fire and Rain, the classic James Taylor fingerstyle acoustic piece. I've covered a couple of other James Taylor songs on the channel. We've got Carolina in My Mind and You've Got a Friend, Carole King's song in the style of James Taylor. And Fire and Rain is probably my favourite James Taylor song. I think it's a really beautiful piece. It's got all the James Taylor signature kind of pull-offs, the way James plays, and I think it's just a great piece to play. I wouldn't say it's a beginner's piece. It's more of an intermediate piece, but it's certainly achievable, and actually most of the work is in the introduction part if you're going to play the fingerstyle part. Once you've got that done, the rest of the song is pretty straightforward actually, and I'll also show you the basic chords underneath it, so if you just want to strum along to that, then you can do that and build up your fingerstyle parts in your own time. If you are watching James play these songs, he does play some of his chords in his own unique style, and I can't, it drives me nuts. It seems really weird to do it. So he's holding down the same notes. So for example, in a D chord, we play a D, he does it sort of, I can't even do it now, it's sort of back to front like this, and so he's holding down the same notes, it's the same chord, but it might look a bit different from the lesson if you're comparing it, so just bear that in mind. As always, if you're new to the channel, then please give me a like and subscribe, hit the bell. It means you'll get to see new videos as and when I put them out. And for all the subscribers who have supported me so far, and it's growing, we're getting near 1,000 now. It'd be great to get above 1,000 soon. So thanks very much again for your support. It means an awful lot to me. I love hearing from you. We've covered quite a few different types of music so far, and we're going to carry on doing that. So as always, we'll get close up and I'll play the different parts, we'll break it down. You'll notice that I'm using a capo at the 3rd fret, so that the songs were in the right key for the song as it was recorded. When I play this, I actually tend to move the capo down a semitone to the 2nd fret. I find it easier. I can sing most of the song with the capo on at 3, but it just gets a little bit high for me in just one part. I think you can probably move a capo 1 or 2 either way for most songs and retain something like the original sound. Beyond that, it starts not quite sounding right to me. And also, the further up the neck we go with the capo, then the distance between the frets gets narrower. And for some of these James Taylor style pull-ons and pull-ups, it gets a bit more crammed on the A chord to get all your fingers in and hold it down. So for me, it also works a little bit more easily if I'm capoed at the 2nd fret. Alright, there we go, we're nice and up close now. So before I show you the fingerstyle introduction, which is going to be a large part of the lesson really, the rest of the song is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to cover the underlying chords in case you just want to strum along or know you know, the format that we're going to be covering before we dive into detail on the introduction. So we're in the key of C because we capoed at the 3rd fret, and we take our root note from this A string on the 3rd fret, which is a C note there. So if you play an A chord shape there, that's really a C. It's like a C bar chord because we're playing the the A string, which is a C root, and then strumming an A chord shape. So that's the first chord. Just yesterday morning, down to an E minor, and I'm strumming that from the E string there. Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. So I'm just moving to a D, and then back to our A shape there. Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Now that's where we're going to do this pulling on and off when we do the fingerstyle part. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. Alright, so there we've got still in our A shape. Suzanne, the plans they made. That's just a normal E major chord, E chord. Put an end to you, up to a G. I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. That just repeats. And we move on to the chorus chords now, so there we start on a D. I've seen fire and I've seen... So that's a D, but I'm holding the B note down there. So it's a D, but with a B bass. It's a bit like a B minor actually, but it sounds better in this song than a B minor. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. Down to our A shape there. Can take your finger on and off that B string. Seen sunny days that I thought would never end. That's exactly the same. This is where I can't sing it, it goes way too high for me with capo at 3. Lonely times when I could not find a friend, but I always thought, down to G, always thought that I'd see you again. So that's an E minor, and then onto an A7. Or what I do later is, rather than play a full A7, which I'll show you this in a minute, I just hold the D down at 2 there. More of an airy chord, it rings out really nicely in this song. So those are the basic chords, and what we're going to do now is look at the fingerstyle parts. So some of those chords are going to be included, but we're just going to play them in an arpeggio way rather than strumming them. So this very iconic introduction to the song is where we're going to start, and as I said before, this is the main part of the lesson really. The lesson covers the whole song, but this is the main focus because this is the part that most people will need to work on a little bit just to get it down, and it's important to do that because it's such an iconic part. You've got to get it sounding right. So the first phrase in the song sounds like this. I'll play it through and then we'll break it down. So what I'm doing there, I'm playing the open A string and I'm sliding up on the G string from the 7th fret of the guitar up to the 9th. So pinching those really individually with my fingers. I'm using my thumb on the A string, and we'll use thumb on the E, A and D strings, and I'm with my finger there, I'm just pinching that G. You want to hear it slide up like that as well. Then with my first finger I'm just barring the E and B strings at the 8th fret there. So we get this. So with my finger there, just raking back down those first 3 strings. This position here, you can think of it like the top part of a C bar chord. If you imagine if I was barring across using an E shape for a bar chord and holding the C root note there on the E string, so all we're doing is just taking the first part of that, but we've already got our C note there on the A string because of the capo. We then slide that shape back down, but we do the same movement, but this time instead of plucking the A string with my thumb, I'm going to pluck the E string. And as I said before, it's important to hear that slide between these sections as we slide up and down. Next we're going to move to a D chord shape. And we're going to do this hammering on. I'm plucking with my thumb there the D string, holding the D chord down, and I'm also, just with my first index finger, I'm brushing certainly the B string as well, maybe catching even the G string there. It has more of a ring to it, and I'm playing the D string there as well, compared to just, see the difference there. Now just before pinching this D chord here that I've just showed you, we have to catch the open D string on the way into the chord to keep the sound going, so that we've not, otherwise it would go like this. But we don't want that. We want it to flow from this sliding section into the D chord. So we get this. So you see, I'm just catching the open D string there and B3 from the cap, and then into that hammering part. It's important to get that right. There's a couple of other parts like that, just tiny one-off passing notes in this song that just keep the rhythm going. So that's the first one of them. So just practice that first part from the top, and then I'll show you the next section. Okay, so let's just play along together really slowly from the very top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go down to an A chord, or an A chord shape. Now, as I said in the introduction, we capoed up the neck at 3 here. The distance between the frets gets smaller, and for me, I've got quite big hands. It's a squeeze to hold down this A chord shape. You can do it like that, sort of putting your index finger behind, which I would say is probably a good way of doing it for this song, because what we want to be able to do, we want to be able to pull on and off that B string. So you can't bar the A, because you've got to be able to, you can't hold all the notes down with one finger, because we want to get that hammering on and off. So it's either holding them down like that, or like that. And again, as I said before, just to just to recap, we're catching the E and B strings as well. Well, we're playing the B anyway, but we're catching the E and possibly the G string as well. With that A strings and the G string as well. And I'm playing this A root note there. So all together, very slowly from the top, we've got this. And I should have said at the start, you hammer on at the start of that A chord as well. So all together from the very top, we get this. Hammering on as we come into that A chord. So once again, let's just play through it together from the top. I'll count us in, we'll do it really slowly. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. When we land on this A note here, we hammer on, and then we play the A note using the G string there, which I'm holding down, fretted at the 2nd fret, and the open A string, just like that, to keep the rhythm of the piece going before we come into the next phrase, which is. That's going to make more sense if I play it in context with the song. So again, really slowly from the very top. Alright? And when we do this, I'm just the underlying notes on the B string. Those, but I'm holding the A shape. Like we did before, I'm catching the E string as well, so we get this. Having hammered on there, we then play the G string, B string, still holding the chord, G again, and the open A string. As a way of passing between this A chord and the next chord. So our next chord, which is an E, and I'm playing that with the open E string there and the B string. Then plucking D and G. So. And then I'm just going to pull off on the D string. And then we go into a G chord. Okay, so we're pulling off that note there, and then we're going straight into this G chord, which is going to become a G major 7 as well. So I'll play through it and then I'll break it down. So from the E chord we get this. Alright, so we've got the E chord, which we've just looked at. Pull off and then into a G, but I'm playing G like that with my little finger on the B string to keep my first finger free, because I'm going to hold down the first string at the 2nd fret, which becomes a G major 7 chord. So we get this sort of. So the picking pattern for this G major 7, just to recap, I'm holding down the normal start of the G chord. I've also got my little finger down on B3 there, and then my first finger down on E2. So we're going to strum. So you're catching the root of the chord there with your thumb. Then I'm playing the B and G string. Okay, that's the first bit. And I tend to catch the D string, but you can just stay like an alternate picking, but you can just stay on the G there. Or you can go. Then just pick up that E string. It's actually harder to explain it than play it this, so I'm going to just build up. Those are all the parts of the introduction. I'll just play through them again slowly to recap and show how they all hang together in the song. So the verse really, you can just choose to strum the chords as I showed you at the very start, to sing along to the lyrics after that. So just yesterday morning they let me know you were gone. So we've got that way of doing it, or we can do something along the style of our introduction there. Yesterday morning they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to. So I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. Just can't remember who to send it to. That's just very much the same as I did in the introduction. Then we come to the chorus. So the chorus again, the basic chords I showed you at the start. I've seen fire and I've seen rain, seen sunny days that I thought would never end. So that's our D to D over B, and then we've got the A and the A sus. Lonely times when I could not find a friend, but I always thought that I'd see you again. G, E minor to A7. The fingerstyle part for the chorus sounds something like this. I'll play through it and then we'll break it down. Oh, I've seen fire and I've seen rain, seen sunny days that I thought would never end. So all I'm doing there is playing the D chord, pinching it from the D string and the E string there, then walking down on the A string using my pinky. Kind of barring across there, holding the A chord, but just plucking it from that B note, and then I'm going to play an E in the bass, so we get this. And then back to our A. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. It goes round again. Seen sunny days that I thought would never end. Lonely time. And then we to a G, but we walk down again. Always thought, just walk down to an E minor 7. Okay, so just again in that chorus, playing the individual notes there, walking down, oh, I've seen, and then barring fire with the B and the bass, and then same thing but with an E in the bass. Oh, I've seen fire and I've seen rain, but I always thought I'd see you again. Yes, I always thought I'd see you again. Those are all the parts to Fire and Rain. So that's how I play Fire and Rain by James Taylor. I think James varies how he plays it, and he has done over the years, and sometimes he's got accompaniment with him so he can just sort of step back slightly. You don't have to keep the full song going yourself just with the guitar if you've got bass and keyboards in there, things like that. I think there's probably more than one guitar on the recording anyway, but that hopefully will give you a good faithful reproduction of the song. It will enable you to perform the song as a solo artist. So have fun with that. Let me know what you think as always. I'd love to hear from you. We'll have more lessons coming up very soon, but in the meantime, enjoy your guitar playing as always, and I'll see you soon.